Welcome to Strategic Insights, guidance for life's most important decisions with attorney Alan Eighmey.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into an all new episode of Strategic Insights, guidance for life's most important decisions with estate planning attorney Alan Eighmey. I am your host, Mike Leon. Alan is the managing attorney over at Strategic Legal Group, where he's been helping families all across California make smart, compassionate choices that protect their future. Today's episode, we're going to be diving into two of the most important estate planning tools out there: powers of attorney and healthcare directives, how they protect you and your loved ones if something unexpected happens. Alan, it's good to see you. Happy New Year to you and yours. I'm sure a lot of people out there think that estate planning only matters when you pass away. Unfortunately, I'm sure you've heard that before. But why are the powers of attorney and the healthcare directives just as important during your lifetime?
Hi, Mike. Happy New Year to you too, and thanks for having me on. Yeah, so powers of attorney are important to have for every family as part of a holistic plan for your estate. Like you said, a lot of people, just worry about what happens to them when they die. But really, the most devastating thing to a family can be if something happens to somebody and they're just incapacitated and can't make decisions. And without proper planning there, not only do you have the stress of caring for that loved one, but the stress of trying to figuring out what to do with their finances and what their wishes are. So.
Yeah. Well, speaking of finances, let's break this down for folks out there listening. So let's get into the financial power of attorney. What is that? Explain to our audience. And then when does it actually go into effect?
Sure. There's a couple different kinds of financial powers of attorney. The ones that normally are done during the estate plan are what we call a springing power of attorney. And what that does is it takes effect when you no longer can make financial decisions. So, heaven forbid, say I'm in a car accident, I'm in the hospital, and I can't, run the business. I can't get at the banks to pay my bills and all of those kinds of things. Um, at that time, that springing power of attorney could come into effect. All my agent would have to do is get a note from the doctor, say that I can no longer kind of do my financial things, put it with that power of attorney, and then they would be able to access my accounts and help me with my finances. The other type of power of attorney occurs when you can have it start immediately. So I'm just tired of paying my bills, and I'm going to go travel the world and sail around. And I'm going to finally tell my son, "Well, take this lump of money and keep paying the mortgages, and I'll see you in 9 months," right? And so that one, then I would give him the power to, I'll pay my bills and deal with my finances while I was out traveling around.
Right. So then that's the general power of attorney, and can you kind of explain the difference? I've heard this term about a durable one. Like what is that? Explain the difference between the two.
Sure. So, like, a general power of attorney is the later one that I spoke about, where I give somebody the power to take care of my finances and do those kinds of things, even though I'm able to do them myself, and I can take that power back. And with those powers of attorneys, generally they, if I become incapacitated or something like that, they can stop. Where the durable power of attorney um, goes beyond that. So if I get dementia, or if I, am in the hospital and I can't, that durable power of attorney, even though I can't even monitor my own finances anymore, that durable power of attorney is still in effect, and that person who's my agent can continue to deal with my finances and stuff.
Okay. Well, that's a good explainer for people out there. So now I mentioned in the intro about healthcare directives. So let's move over into that. Let's
Mhm.
explain what that is. What do those documents typically include?
Sure. So a healthcare directive can be one of the most important items as well in your estate plan. It's a way for you to explain and let your loved ones know what your wishes are when you can't express them to a doctor, and so uh, 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 they will also include, the HIPAA waivers, so that the agents can talk to the doctors, get the diagnosis, find out what's going on, and then a good durable or good healthcare directive will also have, what your wishes are. Hey, did I want to be, if I have a stroke and I'm brain dead, do I want to be continued on life support and fed, through a tube and those kinds of things, or do I want you to let me, pass away, naturally, and just keep me comfortable with some good drugs and, let me go. There's also in California some great directives that help people with dementia. In the later stages, a lot of times when you're stage 6, 7, 8, your body just shuts down and you no longer want to eat. And you kind of refuse food and those kinds of things. A lot of times it's your body telling you you're just done with this. And so and those for those people, they're generally in a care facility. A care facility just can't let them starve to death, so they force feed them. I've seen it happen many a times. It's a horrible experience for, I'm sure, the caregiver and the person, being force fed. And so there's directives there that can say, hey, well, if that happens to me, I don't want that. Just again, keep me comfortable, give me some drugs, and let me pass naturally. So, um, and your healthcare directives will spell that out for your loved ones so they don't feel guilty about making those decisions, because those can be difficult to make.
They can be difficult to make. And Alan, I guess the flip is what happens if I haven't made them? I haven't done any of these things with healthcare directives, powers of attorney. What happens then? Who makes the decisions then?
Right. So a lot of times, with the if you don't have a power of attorney, what can happen is you'll have to go through a whole conservatorship process, and where you have to go to court. They decide who takes care of your finances and those kinds of things. It's an expensive, kind of drawn out process. Um, Whereas if they just had a power of attorney, you can avoid all of those things. With the healthcare side, then they generally go to the next of kin, and sometimes that's fine. Sometimes, if your spouse is the next one to make decisions, and you're laying there and you're dying, or you have all these things going on, that's a decision that's tough for them to make. Or if they're siblings, and and they're trying to make a decision on what happens to mom and dad. Well, there's arguments. All of a sudden now there's family disagreements that can go on for years. Well, you should have done this for mom, or you should have done that, or you let dad die, and those kinds of things, which then cause a rift in the family. So actually, for peace and family unity, a lot of times, having these documents in place really helps, and is a great blessing to all of the people who are involved.
Yep, seen it with my own family as well, Alan. So I know it's a very sensitive subject, especially when someone passes. Let me ask you, because a lot of the times, power of attorney, executors of wills, and stuff like that. Everyone always wants to know, how do I choose the right person to act as this agent? How would you advise somebody to choose the right person, and what should they consider before asking that person?
And that's a great question, Mike. In my own estate plan, my son, he's a computer engineer. He takes care of all of the financial stuff and all of those things. But bless his heart, in order to make healthcare decisions, number one, I don't think he'd be emotionally strong enough to really kind of make those kinds of things. And or number two, being a computer engineer, you might just think my logarithm is over and pull the plug early, right? So I do have my daughters. They're one's in the medical field, so she's really good. It's something that she deals with. But that's the great thing about estate planning is that every family dynamic is different, and every family member has strengths, and you as individual know those as best, and who would make those decisions that you want them to make, right?
Right.
And so that's why it's important for you to be able to make those decisions and pick those people to do those things for you without having a big family fight or arguments over different things. And it just makes everything smoother and helps the whole family out during those trying times.
Alan, let me ask you, with these powers of attorneys, healthcare directives, like, do they need to be updated and reviewed over time, especially if, let's say, there's a change in the family dynamic, like you just mentioned?
Oh yeah, there's many reasons to make changes of it. If you have maybe your agent that you had for your medical, maybe they moved away and they're across the country or something like that, and it would be very difficult for them to do those kinds of things. Maybe you had younger children and now they're grown, and so you want them to make those decisions. Maybe if the person that you had is just gotten too old to really want to have to deal and make with those decisions. So I always tell my families and people, you want to look at your estate plans and your who your agents are on these things, every 5 years or so, just so you keep everything updated, because it's doing these things isn't easy for people. And a lot of times once they get it done, they take a big breath and sigh of relief, throw it in the closet, and they say, hey, at least I got something there. But
Right.
like you said, life changes. And so you want to just kind of look at your stuff every few years and make sure that you have everything in there that's going to make it as smooth as possible for your family.
Yeah.
So.
Alan, as we put a bow on today's episode, what about the person that doesn't have it in their closet? What would you advise for someone who they haven't set these documents up yet? Maybe they think it's too early, it's unnecessary. What would be a piece of advice you'd give them?
Yeah, that's kind of the big thing. I have a lot of clients who are younger, and they're like, I don't need a trust, I don't need a will, I don't have much. But really, the healthcare documents and the power of attorney, it makes everybody's life simpler, because life's crazy, right? Crazy things happen all of the time, stuff that you don't plan for, and you're just one car accident away, or a trip and a fall, or a stroke, or you never know what can happen even at a young age. And so to have these things in place, it's really important, so that it makes it easier on the whole family.
Yeah. Very well said. Alan, thank you for the time, the insights, and explaining all this. I appreciate it as always.
All right, it's great talking with you, Mike. Thank you so much.
And thank you to everyone out there for listening to this episode of Strategic Insights. If you want to make sure your family has the guidance and the authority they need when it matters the most, I want you to connect with Alan and his team over at Strategic Law. So do me a favor, visit strategic-law.com. Schedule a personalized planning session with Alan and his team. Do me a favor before you go. Like, subscribe, leave a review, comment, or share the episode with someone who needs to hear it. As always, I'm Mike Leon. See everybody next time.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.